Hello, I'm Anjelica Huston, Advisory Council member and supporter of a great organization called Save the Chimps. There's a long history of exploiting chimpanzees in the United States, either as unwilling medical research subjects, entertainers, or inappropriate household pets. Save the Chimps, the largest chimpanzee sanctuary in the world, provides compassionate and comprehensive care within enriched environments to nearly 300 chimpanzees rescued from such exploitation. Save the Chimps was founded by a woman of unparalleled compassion and determination, the late Dr. Carol Noon. With the encouragement of Dr. Jane Goodall, Dr. Noon established Save the Chimps in 1997 to provide a home for chimpanzees no longer wanted by the U.S. Air Force. In 2002, Save the Chimps had grown into the world's largest chimpanzee sanctuary. In the late 1950s, the U.S. Air Force established a colony of wild-caught chimpanzees at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. These young chimpanzees, their mothers most likely shot and killed, were to be used to gauge the effects of space travel on humans. The first astro chimp, 3-year-old Ham, was sent into space on January 31st, 1961. 3 months later, Alan Shepard became the first American in space. Americans celebrated their astronaut heroes. The space chimps were not so lucky. After showing the right stuff, these chimpanzees were reassigned to hazardous mission environments. In 1997, the Air Force announced it was leaving the chimpanzee research business. The U.S. government sent most of the chimpanzees to the Colston Foundation, a New Mexico lab with the worst record of any primate lab in the history of the Animal Welfare Act. Save the Chimps sued the Air Force on behalf of the chimpanzees. After a year-long legal battle, Save the Chimps gained permanent custody of 21 chimps, all members of or descendant of chimps used in the space program. They were brought to South Florida, where a 3-acre island connected to a custom-built chimpanzee house awaited. Here the chimps would live out their lives without the threat of ever returning to a lab. The chimpanzees were introduced to each other, and the new chimp family was released onto their new island home. They were able to feel the grass beneath their feet and see the sun, the moon, and the stars in the sky. They embraced each other in joy and excitement. Dr. Carol Noon expected that Save the Chimps would grow slowly. In addition to the Air Force chimps, 5 former pet chimpanzees were also rescued. But then Dr. Frederick Colston called. The Colston Foundation was going bankrupt. Could Save the Chimps help the 266 chimpanzees at his laboratory? With the future of the primates in jeopardy, Save the Chimps received a special initiative of $3.7 million from the Arcas Foundation and others, enabling Save the Chimps to purchase the laboratory, land, and buildings. The chimpanzees themselves were donated to Save the Chimps. This event remains the largest rescue effort on behalf of chimpanzees in history. Immediately after taking possession of the lab, Save the Chimps began to modify the Stark facility into a healthier and happier environment. Fresh fruits and vegetables, toys, blankets, and clean cages were now part of the chimps' daily routines. Even the chimps wanted to help. The worst building, dubbed the dungeon, required extensive renovations to free the chimps inside from their lives of solitude. Extensions were added to the ceilings of the outside cages, allowing more room for the chimpanzees, as well as the ability to finally meet their neighbors. Some chimps were frightened of the 4 extra feet of room in their cage, but still bravely climbed up to see their new view of the surrounding New Mexican desert and mountains. Mesh doors were installed in solid concrete walls so the chimps could finally be introduced to each other. The most important gift Save the Chimps could give these chimps was each other. Introductions began to build family groups of 20 to 25 chimpanzees. When 18-year-old Mika met 20-year-old Brent, they fell immediately in love. When Elway and Pamela met Alice, who at the time was a timid and frightened chimpanzee with emotional scars from her lab days, Alice embraced these two youngsters and for the first time could be heard laughing. At the same time, an enormous construction project commenced in Florida to transform 150 acres of old orange groves into 12 islands with 12 connecting houses, a city for 300 chimpanzees. The rescue of these chimpanzees has transitioned into the Great Chimpanzee Migration, Save the Chimps' current effort to relocate the chimps from the former lab to their island homes in sunny Florida. A custom trailer was made to transport 10 chimpanzees at a time, each with a window seat, to the sanctuary in Florida. Save the Chimps staff accompanies the chimps on their 2,000-mile journey to ensure the chimps' safety and comfort. After 40 hours of gazing out the window at the amazing sights along the road, the chimps arrive at the sanctuary and catch their first glimpses of the place they will call home for the rest of their lives. The transport cages are secured to the chimp house, and the chimpanzees enter their new home. At the end of this incredible journey, it all comes down to this: the final door to their new lives. These chimpanzees are getting a second chance at life. They're learning how to play, love, laugh, and groom, all natural for chimpanzees. Though this is a happy ending, many of them still bear emotional and physical scars from their lives spent in laboratories. We can't erase their past, but we can give them a brighter future. Dr. Noon once said, "All they need from us is a chance. If we meet them halfway, just give them space and freedom, then they recover on their own." Sadly, Dr. Carol Noon passed away on May 2nd, 2009. But her vision and her life's work lives on. The mission of Save the Chimps is to provide permanent sanctuary for the lifelong care of chimpanzees rescued from research laboratories, entertainment, and the pet trade. I urge you to learn more about the plight of both captive and wild chimpanzees and to support the important work of Save the Chimps.